Good morning. My name is Melissa Townshend, and our family has attended Cedar Run Church for over 12 years. During that time, I've been involved in lots of areas of women's ministry, and I hope what I have to share with you today will offer some amount of encouragement during this time. You know, I wake up each morning and the world around us is changing so much today. Our world is one that we could never have imagined. I was describing it as it started as surreal, but it's become very real, and some days are harder than others. I think Hebrews 13:8 is a good place to start. That verse tells us that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Our God is an all-powerful, all-knowing, ever-present, full of love God. That truth is always the same. But understandably, in the situation we're going through right now, it's hard for our human minds to understand that. There's a perceived disconnect, how a loving God could allow such a horrible situation to happen in our world. And it's okay to have those questions, and thankfully we have the Bible that will provide some answers. I think we need to change our perspective. By going into scripture, we can take a look and see how God has handled hard situations before and how he keeps his promises. I want us to go to the book of Genesis, chapters 6-8, which tell us part of the story of Noah. There are some interesting parallels between what Noah went through and what we're going through right now. You know, God had a reset of sorts planned for the world. He approached Noah, who was righteous and walked with the Lord, and asked Noah to be part of his plan. Noah built the ark, and in God's timing, the rains came. Once Noah and his family and the animals were inside the ark, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The flood lasted 150 days. More time passes before the world is inhabitable again. And so during that time, you know, I think there are some assumptions that we can make. As those waters came and Noah was safely inside the ark, outside the ark was a horrible situation. Everything Noah and his family had come to know and love was being destroyed. As they were on that ark, there was no steering mechanism. They were being carried away from all they knew and cared about to a place they did not know, to a life that they could not imagine what it would look like. I think that's similar to what we're going through right now. I think he must have had a lot of similar emotions that we're having. Grief and mourning over losses, fear and anxiety over what is to come, weariness of just being separated from friends and family and the monotony of the life that they were living. I think all of those emotions are good emotions to process. I think that we need to remember that God gave us those emotions. And we need to find somebody to talk through how we are feeling. And so I encourage you to reach out to myself or someone else at the church if you need to talk with somebody. But I think too, it's important to remember that we cannot allow our emotions to control us or steal the joy that God has planned for us. We can't allow our emotions to take away from the fact that our God is working things out for good. As I read the story too, I have a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that I would love to know more about as he boarded that ship, how they handled the days that passed, how they processed the questions that they must have had. None of that is documented. My only assumption is that that's not where God wanted Noah's focus or ours to be. And I think that this is where we need to change our perspective and focus. To believe and trust that we have an all-knowing, all-loving God, we need to see that God has a love for our world, for ourselves, and keeps his promises. He will redeem all of this. This situation is hard, that is a fact, but God does have a plan for redemption. He is a loving God. Thankfully, as his children, we are inside that ark. We are in his protection. He wants us to come to him. He wants to provide for us. That is a truth that is not changing. I know this is easier said than done, But thankfully, we have the Bible to remind us of all the times God has done it before, and he will do it again. Our God does not change. Our God is always good. Our God is loving. I pray that as we stay close to God, reading his word, that he will allow us to trust him with what he is doing. He loves us. I miss you and can't wait to see you soon. I hope this offers a bit of encouragement.